Champions, how about a great send-off for the second round of match play? Thank you, and good luck.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to BowlTV. My name is Matt Canizaro, and joining me here in the booth for this round of matches at the Samstown Bowling Center, Bruce Hall, competitor this week at the USBC Senior Masters. We're here now for the continuation of our first round of match play. This is the right side of the match play bracket. We started the day with 64, the top 64 competitors. That includes our defending champion, Walter Ray Williams Jr., and that coming from a field of 272 of the best USBC members aged 50 and older. 15 games of qualifying whittled the field down again to 64 competitors for this double elimination match play bracket. And now for the next 2 days, we'll have 3 game matches. Total pinfall will determine the winners in each match. We'll give you a rundown of what happened on the left side of the bracket here in just a minute. Let's introduce our competitors now for our featured pairs here at Samstown. Here on the left lanes, 19 and 20, we have our number 2 seed, Brian LeClaire from Del Mar, New York, taking on Eric Forkel, the standout left-hander, the number 63 seed. So really, these two top competitors, PBA Tour veterans, being number 63, those are just minor details. These are going to be two terrific competitors in a very tough match, I'm sure. And our other match is the number 3 seed, Michael Haugen Jr., taking on number 62, David Terrell. Now, we don't know too much about David, but we know that he performed well enough in the clutch to find himself a spot in the top 64 here. So definitely, if not well established where he comes from, an up-and-comer and someone that we can look forward to seeing down the road. So with that, we'll tune in here and see our 2 matches underway. Again, 3 games, total pinfall will determine who advances. I think that's a pretty significant rundown. You got the idea. We'll be here throughout the matches. For any questions that you might have, just drop those in the chat room. We'll be glad to answer them. And again, we'll give you a rundown of what happened in round number 1. We had some excitement, some upsets, all that good stuff. Bruce, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Matt. Great to be back with you in a front row seat for some great matches here on the TV pairs.
All right, so we saw Brian LeClaire take the lead in the second round. So he was hanging around a little bit there in the opening round and then made it to the top of the standings. And then somebody pointed out or asked me a question about the Bionic Man. And I honestly, at that point, had no idea what they were talking about. And then I chatted with Brian a little bit and saw, obviously, as you can see on your live stream right now, that he has a sizable knee brace on his left knee. And we got the rundown about that. A near career-ending knee situation that was really just re-injuring an old surgically repaired left knee to a point where he walked off the lanes and ironically found out yesterday that the final match he bowled at that event, the PBA 50 tournament in New York, he bowled a 123 game and hobbled off the lanes, not knowing if he'd ever bowl again. That match was against you.
Yes, it was, and I was really disheartened to see Brian that way. And now when I watch him today, he's back to his old form, and I crossed with him in qualifying, and he's got that great stroke and tremendous leverage at the bottom, and he just looks great. And his scores prove it. Every bit the PBA 50 Player of the Year he was last year.
All right, he was able to find the right doctor in the right situation to obtain a rather pricey knee brace, but it's doing the trick. He said it keeps everything in place and maintains the pain as best as possible, but allows him to compete, and that's the most important thing. And for now, until he said he's eligible for a knee replacement, which I imagine there's a certain age for that. I would guess somewhere in the 60-plus range, but not 100% sure. And Brian just now in his early 50s and enjoying a very successful and quick success on the PBA 50 Tour, a couple titles, and of course, as you mentioned, Player of the Year in 2017. So going from thinking he was never going to bowl again to 1 month later, at one point leading at the Senior Masters, and now here he is in match play. It's a pretty nice little storyline.
Oh, he's just a tiger, and even in Long Island at the Jaguar BBL Open, he reluctantly made the match play. It's like, he was in so much pain, he almost didn't want to make it, but he's so good that he made it anyway, and he bowled that round robin, and I happened to catch him on the last match, and he struggled. And guess what? Leading here. He's going to get 2 opens from Forkel, and he's got a double, so that's going to put him in the 30-pin plus range lead already.
All right, well, Brian LeClaire averaged 235 on the way to match play. Michael Hagen Jr. was at 225, so a nice drop-off there between our second and third place qualifiers. But now you look down at Eric Forkel, averaging 209, sneaking in. The cut was plus 141, and Eric Forkel was plus 142, so just got in there. And then David Terrell coming in at plus 145, but again, it's a new day. Those pins have disappeared, so whether you were number 1 or number 64, as we saw earlier, all irrelevant. We've got top competitors, and now it's just head-to-head on this pair of lanes, freshly oiled with the 41-foot oil pattern we saw this week, and it's all about matching up at this point.
Well, and Terrell looks a little tight. He just capitalized on that double. His best shot of the match. Let's see if he can calm down here and get a third one. Pretty good shot, Terrell. Nope. Dead straight.
Well, we saw in our earlier matches, right here in our featured pairs, 19 and 20, the upset of the day, the first one, because I'm sure there will be many. Number 1 seed for the second year in a row, James Campbell, this time, was defeated by the number 64 seed, and that was Michael Calvin. Calvin won a roll-off. He was tied for that 64 spot, won a roll-off over Johnny Manzella, 205 or 204 to 155, after just sneaking in, again, making some clutch shots to get to that spot, and then promptly dispensed of our number 1 seed by quite a margin, 668 to 618. So for the second year in a row, last year it was Parker Bone III, had a great qualifying, and then got bounced by none other than fellow Hall of Famer Brian Voss. So again, once you make it to the bracket, you could be bowling against anybody. So those numbers pretty insignificant. Your two top competitors. But again, number one going early to the elimination bracket. And Parker Bone, who again had a disappointing first round last year, turned things around this year. He kind of snuck in under the radar a little bit, qualifying 21st. Really no fireworks from him throughout the week. And he was here. We just didn't see much from him. And he comes out strong in his match this morning.
He lit it up.
Starts with 299 against Krister Peterson. And goes on to win that match. Great shot there by Haugen to stay in control here.
Only a 13-pin lead for Haugen, but he's got a much better look to the pocket right now. How about Pete Weber, 5 seed, losing to Darrell Bauer by 1 stick, 651 to 650.
Well, it's unfortunate that in our situation, and there were some great matches. We're here obviously watching what's happening on our featured pairs and matches going on across the house, 56 lane center. And again, some excitement. We mentioned Parker Bone, 789, 652 over Krister Peterson. And then Pete Weber, yes, the 2-time Senior Masters champ, getting upset by a single pin. And it'd be nice to know exactly how all of that transpired. And then the one that kind of jumps off the page, Bruce, and you pointed this out as we were getting ready here, Chris Warren, who had the highest block of the day yesterday, 1260. Averaged a ton in that final round.
Stunning number.
And then jumped up to 9th place in qualifying. He was the number 9 seed. He fell in the opening round to Jerry Smith, 511 to 501. And I did go double check on that score. I thought maybe somebody accidentally wrote it down after 2 games based on how Chris had bowled yesterday. But that was in fact the final score, and that exactly proves my point that once you get to this portion of the event, it's almost like a new tournament, and it doesn't matter what's happening around you because it's you and your opponent on that pair of lanes, and whoever can fight it.
Absolutely. You talk about the Voss-Bone match last year. Brian Voss, 780 against Parker when he only shot 145 over to qualify to be the number. So he bowls 15 games to qualify, and the next 3 beats that handily. Tyrell returning the favor to Michael Haugen with a 4-6 split of his own.
Some excitement down on 39 and 40. Not going to stand up on this one, but our defending champ, Walter Ray Williams Jr., had the front 8. And 7 counted in the 9th frame, so thanks to our staff on site and our live scoring, we know what's happening. And tight match there between him and Andrew Frawley, the world champion from Australia. So, same deal. Walter Ray, had he not qualified where he did, he would have been guaranteed the number 64 spot. It would have been him bowling against James Campbell, and then Michael Calvin wouldn't even have been in the finals. So just the nature of the format, and now here we are.
Well, and talk about Calvin capitalizing last night in the roll-off after the double bird. He's playing 4th arrow and swinging it out. This morning rolling it up 5 and bowling well on both patterns, so shows the versatility of Calvin.
Well, Calvin told us he knew coming in that the fresh actually was his strength, so he felt extra confident. Campbell has been working toward being able to play a little bit straighter and handle the fresh condition, and felt like he'd gotten there, based on this week and certainly progress. And then he'll get another shot at it this afternoon in our elimination bracket. So not out of it yet, still a chance, but a very long road for our number 1 seed. And after today, we'll say goodbye to some folks. Nice break there for Michael Haugen. Got the helicopter on the 6-pin. And now, after the back-to-back splits, we've got ourselves a nice match here. Certainly, it's nice for us for entertainment value, but not so much for the competitors who would like to just get out to a big start and cruise into the victory.
Almost a 4-9, or almost a 6-8 for Eric Focal, rather. And a big hole early, 54-pin deficit already for Focal. And how about another split for Haugen? 3 out of the last 4 frames.
Haugen was our early leader on day 1. He bowled very well on the fresh. And if you'd like to see the oil pattern, you can visit bowl.com/Senior Masters. But Haugen came out of the gate plus 188, and he held on through the entire next squad and almost through the whole day on that opening score, and then kind of just cruised through the rest of the week, and now having some trouble here on the back half of this first game against David Tyrell.
Chris Gibbons comes out at a 260 pace against Ron Moore in lanes 7 and 8. And another double for Brian. A great shot. He looks solid.
So if you see Brian LeClaire walking up to you from across the bowling center, you're just wondering, how's this guy going to go and bowl? And he said this week was the first time since his injury that he bowled 2 days in a row. And this actually now makes 4 consecutive days, and potentially practice as well if he did that, so 5 days. And it looks very painful and uncomfortable, but when you look up at the scoreboard, you have to be amazed at the amount of strikes that Brian has thrown this week.
Well, clearly he's not, if he's having pain, it's not much of it, because he looks so good at the line. He really looks like his old self. Look at that. Brian has his break points absolutely perfect. And among an unbelievably tough field, as bowler of the year last year, which might have surprised even him, but he's just so versatile at every pattern.
Nice
Tyrell
mixer.
Gets a strike to take the 1-pin lead over Haugen.
Haugen, the 2017 PBA 50 Rookie of the Year, also picking up a win recently this season.
He's at that same, ooh, and one on the channel for Brian.
So we have the benefit here of being on a minute or two delay. So we can actually see this one happen and see if it had something to do with the footing or the knee.
I don't think so.
Just looked like a bad shot.
Flush spare, 239. Shake it off. Forkel with a max 185, so 64-pin lead for LeClaire right out of the gate. Terrell finds 3 in the 10th. Get himself to 189, and can't be caught this game by Haugen anyway.
Here's Forkel now on lane 20, and he's going to be down quite a bit here in this opening match, but he's definitely got some experience in this format. And back in, give my years right, 1997 at the regular USBC Masters, Eric Forkel rolled the highest score ever posted on the Open Championships stage, 874.
Unbelievable.
In a 3-game match that year, and he's been around for a minute. He's had some great success, and now here.
And another chop. Thanks for that. That's his second chop this game of that same spare, 4-7. I will confidently say that score will never be beaten. 874.
Well, Mr. Bo Gergen, who we've seen out here, find some success in the senior ranks. He got awfully close in the Open Championship singles event here at Las Vegas, 862. But things have changed a little bit with lane conditions and such. But phenomenal performance. I thought we were going to see that out of Parker Bone this morning, when Parker had 299, 279 in his first 2 games. And then came up just short of the 800, needed the first hit in the 10th. But this event, this match play, it's going to be a roller coaster, as we can see here. Of our 4 our participants, we had 1 200 game, and now that could easily turn around, and the look could change completely, and anywhere else we could have some huge scores across the house.
Talk about Haugen. He's been part of the conversation in every PBA 50 event this year. And the event he won was, in fact, at that Long Island tournament. And he's switching balls around. He juggles balls like a court jester, as was said.
We got a Hall of Fame showdown down on 49 and 50. Again, Brian Voss and Doug Kent. And this one, if Kent can strike out, it's going to be 258, 247. Voss's advantage. That's some pretty exciting stuff happening on the far end on that same pair last game, or last match. That's where Parker Bone got things done, and then right next to that was Dale Traber and Lenny Boris Jr. So no matter where you look over the next 2 days, you're going to see some standouts and some Hall of Famers and some familiar faces, and it's going to feel a lot like the 1990s Saturday afternoon TV.
I do miss those days.
So we are in game 2 of this 3-game match. We've got 16 matches going on across the center. This is all first round competition to the right side of our bracket. 16 winners obviously will stay in the winners bracket, and those who do not win will go to the elimination bracket. And our next round of winners bracket matches will take place at 1:30 p.m. local time, 4:30 Eastern, and then those winners will be done for the day. So they'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. However, we'll have 2 rounds of elimination matches coming up this afternoon. First round will take place at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then the next one will take place on the burn 20 minutes after that round concludes. So we'll say goodbye to 16 players in that first round of matches, and then 16 more. So we'll be down to 32 at the end of competition today.
Big advantage to win those first two matches. Get the rest of the day off and come back fresh the next day.
Forkel now with a pair of spares here. Finds himself down after the first game, 239-162.
That's
Difference of 77 pins.
That's Haugen's third consecutive rolled 2-pin on that lane. He can't get anything to turn the corner. He went to something more skid flippy, it wouldn't turn. Now, the last thing he threw won't turn. He's just having some trouble getting that right lane to read for him. And Brian just cruising along.
Nice little crowd behind us here at Samstown Bowling Center. Again, if you're just tuning in, my name is Matt Cannizzaro for USBC and BowlTV, joined by Super Senior Classic and Senior Masters competitor Bruce Hall from the East Coast, Massachusetts area. And there's LeClaire Tomahawk on the 10 for the double. And Eric Forkel needs to figure something out quick. Start striking here. He's going to find himself down more than 100 halfway through this game.
Brian Goebel with a healthy lead over Eddie Silva, down on 25-6. Keith Lesko, our number 10 qualifier, comes out of the gate 267 against Steve Badanovic. And great shot there by Terrell for the double, extending his lead over Michael Haugen. This would be a pretty serious upset if Terrell can hang on and win this match.
Forko still looking for his first strike in this second game. Still some time left, but Leclerc well in control. And Haugen enters this game down 12, trying to stay even now through 3 frames. And he leaves the 2-8.
Mark Mazzulla and Daniel Miyamoto tied at 206 first game, down on 33-4. Brian Leclerc, just no mercy. Haugen still looking for the line. Really surprising given the first few frames of this match. Thought Haugen was going to just run away with it. You know, Matt, I thought they gave a lot of good thought to the pattern this week. It was asymmetrical left to right. You know, 39 or 29 mils of oil to hold up for the double burn, which is what you need with this big equipment these days. And they ran the taper on the right from the gutter up to about 7 or 8. And so you see the guys playing the track just a little outside of the track on the fresh, you know, pretty much doing the best. On the left, you know, you had a taper that went up and really peaked at around 11. So they took into account the less traffic on the left side and kept it what I thought was pretty fair. You know, I think people giving some thought to these asymmetrical patterns instead of just throwing them out equal side to side.
Well, we see a good balance of lefties righties here in our match play round, so that's all you can ask for is a level playing field, and we're definitely looking at some terrific talent as well.
How about a chop for Terrell? Negates his double. Brings the match back within 10 pins.
Forko managed a strike on the right lane, now looking to double up here. Ball change also very effective there. And with only 3 games, I mean, that certainly isn't a sprint by any means, but if you fall behind too early, you're in trouble. So you go to the bag, you do what you have to do to find a way to knock all the pins down.
Terrell, I think, with his better look than Haugen right now. Gets the 4-9 to go. Ho-hum, slap 10. Brian Leclerc. Haugen overcompensates Beak. and Walter Ray Williams Jr. a healthy lead over Andrew Frawley on 39-40 in the first 5 in the second game. Another hit for Forkel, but as he goes sheet, I think it's going to be too little too late. Up for a 4-pin. Forkel with his 4th in a row.
Well, we can see these matches turn in a heartbeat as the lanes transition. Now on 19 and 20, we've got one lefty, one righty, so they're controlling their own fate here. And we saw earlier with James Campbell found himself down a ton after 2 games, came back strong in the 3rd game, had the front 5, thought he was going to get it done, and then fell into some trouble late in the game, but that's why we bowl 3 games. Just give it a chance, let it play out, and see if we can't get some of those exciting matches happening right here on our featured pairs.
Campbell's got that big hand, and he did okay on the fresh. He did well on the fresh. But watching that first match, I thought he was in a little bit. He wasn't really catching the seam, wasn't really catching the friction. And I think he fought it a little bit because it's dead flat inside of where the seam is until it's been carved. So if you go too deep too early, you're facing basically flat across US Open-like conditions. Oh, so smooth, just great feel. Brian got that left a board or two, but kept the speed down, got the roll. Bingo. Tyrell with the 12-pin lead over Haugen. Haugen still fishing.
Great shot there by Forkel. His string ends at 4. Can't throw it any better than that, but as they say, up against the wall here for the left-hander.
Uh-oh, trouble for Tyrell. Expected that to react. I saw one that he threw there earlier that looked good, and it just accelerated. Missed the head pin, and once again. Chance, great pickup by Tyrell on the washout. Keeps his lead. Now within 10. Between Tyrell and Haugen here.
Numbers climbing. We appreciate everybody being here. We're watching live coverage of the 2018 USBC Senior Masters here at the Samstown Bowling Center in Las Vegas. We've been here all week. 15 games of qualifying, and now double elimination to match play. 3-game matches over the next 2 days. And at the end, tomorrow night, we'll have a shootout round. After the shootout, we'll know our 5 players for the stepladder finals that will take place Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Also live on BowlTV right here at Samstown. What a great host for these events. We've been here a few years now. Super Senior Classic, followed by the Senior Masters. Everything just flows so smoothly. Everybody knows where to be and what to do and what gets plugged into where and where to sit. And it's
Amen. Amen. Stay in the hotel, walk down and bowl, go back up to your room. Lots of great places to eat, great hosts, friendly people. Just a great venue here.
And for one lucky competitor, this great venue will yield $20,000. Michael Haugen Jr. hoping it's him, but he's going to have to leave a few last 210s if we're going to get there. And again, the non-winners here, they don't like to be called losers. We're not losers. The non-winners this round.
Challengers bracket.
They will go to the elimination bracket and still have a chance to win, but it will be a long 2 days of matches. Haugen gives it a run. So it'll be 8 out in the 8th. He's trying to make up a 12-pin deficit after game number 1.
Add 10 to that, so that's going to give Terrell a 22-pin lead at this point. I think that right lane, 21, it just seems to be getting tighter and tighter. Because both the guys are genuinely surprised at washouts, and that 210, I think, genuinely surprised Haugen. I think he liked that shot. And on the beak on 22, a little drier on 22.
Here's the Claire really trying to slam the door, at least close it and not quite lock it here early. Had 239 in the opener, and now he's going to be...
What do you think? 260? Hello.
Man.
Ho-hum, 100 over.
I think after this, everybody at home watching, 518 people, I think 200 of them are on Amazon right now trying to get themselves a knee brace like that.
It comes from Canada, so you better use Amazon Canada.
It's Friday, so they need Amazon Prime for their weekend tournaments, but it seems to be the magic remedy. They need a score correction there. That one looked like it definitely went down, so 269. I don't know, that one pin at this point. He's at 507 after 2. Forkel is at 371.
Yeah, I would say that one's pretty well wrapped up.
136 pins
Crazy.
after 2 games.
Just crazy.
And of course, with those guys striking as much as they did that game, that's why they're a couple frames ahead now. Terrell with just 3 strikes this game.
A real grind out match here.
So he is leading by 5 pins in this game alone, so 17 overall. And Haugen will step up and finish it out. He can get to 202. And Forkel just can't get anything going. And at this point, he's, obviously shaking his head at what went wrong, but he's going to have to regroup coming up this afternoon and figure out how to stay in this thing.
Well, I think he needed the look he has now. I think he went to something more aggressive right off the corner, and that worked better for him. Well, it's 2 hits on that right lane. He might have figured out 1 lane anyway. Amazing the constant puzzle that is this game.
Haugen's going to make this one very close after 2. And then in that pressure situation, game 3, match on the line. Obviously Haugen with the experience. He has to have the advantage there, even if it's close, if he's down a few. That's a big moment here on a big stage for David Tyrell to step up. And but you have to like Haugen's experience in that situation. And here he's showing what he's got, doubling up there to get to potentially 202.
And he slowed that one way down on the tighter lane to get it to react. All right, now we're just showing off.
So just a formality at this point, but no slaughter rules in bowling.
No mercy rules either. You can't quit after 2 games. Got that one slow but left, and it sets up and carries. Great shot for Haugen.
So Haugen will cut a few pins off that lead at least, depending on, of course, what Terrell does here in the 10th. Could be even more than that. And then for Leclerc and Forkel, an opportunity here, you'd think for both players, maybe after a few frames here, just to try something, because they're both going to have more matches coming up. it's try something different maybe. Clearly LeClaire doesn't need to try something different. He's got the look on the fresh here, but maybe throw something else, see what the difference is. I mean, you can't get much better, but it'd be nice to have a plan B in case you hit whatever Chris Warren hit earlier with Jerry Smith to go 511 to 501.
Well, I don't think anybody can plan for that kind of a change in reaction. It would have been an interesting match to watch. There's Terrell, important shot. Rolls the 2. That's going to get him to 86 maximum. He's going to give up his lead. Haugen's going to go into the third game with the lead.
So a clutch finish there for the 2017 PBA 50 Rookie of the Year. And he was close, as you mentioned, leaving 2 pins, rolling 2 pins, left at 210 there in the 8th. And, for somebody of that caliber, just a simple move, I'm sure, to get the ball to finish how it needs to. And clearly he did that in the 9th and 10th frames.
Let's see how Terrell responds. Not out of this yet. Of course, Michael's wife Fong with him, as she is at many of the PBA 50 events.
In other matches, Charlie Standish up 100 on David Washburn, 480 to 380 after 2. We'll try to catch him after 2 games here, but for the most part, unsuccessful, just with how fast things are moving along here.
Walter Ray 502 for his first 2.
Keith Lesko showing off a little bit in his match against Badavinik. Those guys down on 31 and 32. Lesko is going to be nearly 500, and Steve's going to have some work to do as he'll be just under 400.
Just going to say, how about Doug Kent, 270 his second game against Voss. He leads 506 to 482 in that match. Kent against Voss. Couple of Tigers. I'm jealous of Brian LeClaire. He's so good. Jealous of Eric Forkel too in his line position. He looks so solid at the line, always has. Michael's apologizing for this performance so far, but I will tell you that those 3 he threw in the 10th, he's got nothing to be sorry for. And LeClaire just cruising along. With the bucket on the drier lane, and he's like, why didn't it hook?
All right, folks, next round of the winners bracket coming up at 1:30 local time, 4:30 on the East Coast. So that's an hour and 15 minutes away. It's going to be on the burn, so we'll need a break for re-oil. It'll be right after this. We'll get reset. We'll definitely have some matches here, so that's good news. Actually, we can see we're going to have Jerry Brunetti Jr. and Norm Duke on 21 and 22.
Burnett a big last set to make it, and then just threw a big set to win his first round.
And in our other match, it will be the winner of Warren Nelson and Bob Rosenau, and the Keith Lesko and Steve Badavinik. So, looking forward to seeing who will stay undefeated. By the end of the day, we'll have 16 unbeaten players and 16 left in the elimination bracket.
Talk about Burnett, he had his best set on the fresh. He just bowled a good set. So, liking his chances to keep going. And big shot for Haugen there.
And Haugen up 5 coming into the final game. And Brian Leclerc up 136. Now an opportunity to work on his spare game for a minute. He's been throwing
136 plus a 4-bagger minus an open. So let's keep adding to the 136.
Leclerc's had about 8 strikes a game for the entire week, which takes some pressure off that knee.
That's a good point. He's throwing way fewer shots than most others. Another very nice touch by Haugen. He slowed it down on that left lane to get it to respond. That tighter lane. Great shots there.
So an opportunity now to learn a little bit about David Tyrrell. Because
No bigger pressure than this.
big match, big moment.
Turn it up. How about the mixer? Crumble that bucket. Keep it a 5-pin match. There's no way to simulate these situations, Matt. You just have to put yourself here to gain the experience. And Brian did switch balls. He's trying some other stuff. Immediate washout. Great shot by Tyrrell. Blows the rack, takes the lead by 5. Right up the 5 board on the tighter lane. Great release. Great match. So Warren Nelson and Bob Rosenau about 51-2. That's a 12-pin match, and Nelson with a split in his first frame. How about a smash 7-pin from Michael Haugen? One of the worst breaks you could have other than the Stone 8. Worst break at the worst time for Haugen.
All right, so Haugen will regroup here. Again, came into this game with a 5-pin lead. Now finds himself down at the halfway point.
5-pin lead, down 11, leaves him down 6 right now. Great shot by Haugen right back in the pocket. He hasn't missed the pocket this game. Did that smash 7 be the difference?
Some big shots coming up here for Tyrrell. We'll see again. Big stage. And for Eric Forkel, I think he found a ball he liked. It's just a matter now if it's going to carry when it's time. But he'll go to his next match, you'd think, with a better idea. How about that?
Messenger. Screamer messenger for Tyrrell. Compared to Haugen's smash 7. Tyrrell so tight his first few frames. He's loosened up now under the pressure. I think Brian went right with something a little bit more aggressive. Just get it rolling a little sooner. Got that one a little fast. Only a 2-pin.
I think maybe that was the adrenaline in the moment.
I
You saw
think so.
a little bit of fire after that last strike in the 5th, and gotta take that extra deep breath before you get up and make that shot.
And I think he made the wrong mistake in the wrong lane. He can't be fast on that lane. Oh, he's going to pull by this. He's going to miss it by a lot. And he just got up there and rushed on that 2-pin. That's going to be painful. Still has the lead, though. Still has a 3-pin lead, but Haugen can get up and strike and take the lead back.
Well, if you recall, Mr. Haugen picked up a major title at one point in his PBA career in a very similar dramatic fashion, where another top competitor, and it was kind of reversed at that point. Haugen was the up-and-comer.
Mr. Barnes, that you might be thinking of?
I am at the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah.
And, Chris Barnes had a huge lead at the halfway point, and he was definitely the guy to beat, the established player, and Haugen good in his own right, but still kind of on the rise.
I want to say 51-pin deficit after 5 in that match.
So
Haugen went sheet and came back to win.
And before that, maybe you wonder, is this guy going to step up and get it done? He did, and now I don't know that I want to be on the receiving end of a Haugen come from behind opportunity.
And you notice that to take the lead back, there was no question about that shot. It was absolutely flush. So soft. Huge shot by Haugen. The experience all coming out now. He just mastered that speed control in that left lane. He just is very nice to it at the bottom, just soft release, and it just turns up in the tighter lane.
So Haugen back in control. Terrell must answer. And a little flat on the 10 there. Now we get to the running out of room. Gonna press and squeeze and maybe try to aim it. We've all been in those situations, of course, where you know you need it, and sometimes.
Well, I think that 2-pin was something he needed to take a little more time on that. It's maybe the lesson to walk away with should he not be victorious here is to take your time on every shot. Great performance. Well, everything Brian's throwing seems to be working. So that's a tough decision he's got going forward, but I can't imagine he would move off that first ball.
So we have the ABC squads. Now Brian LeClaire has ABC game, and all of them same result. Strike,
there
strike,
you go.
strike.
Good shot for Terrell. You know, Matt, more and more all the ball reps will tell you don't manage the lane side to side as much these days as front to back. And more we see that you need earlier and earlier reaction. As you see more oil out there, as you see the oil being thicker like this ice oil and not breaking down as much. So much more. And how about a 210 for Haugen? Might have a match again. In fact, we do. Let's say he misses this. 66-75 and 77 for Terrell. We're within 3 pins again, Matt, for this match. Except that he makes it. Big shot. Haugen.
All right, Bruce, how about Don Breeden? 775.
Oh.
taking down Steve Smith, the youngster. Should have his birth certificate checked for being here.
I say that about a lot of guys. I asked Mark Williams that when he claimed to be 60. I didn't believe it.
Looks like 669 for Steve Smith in the loss.
Wow.
But, definitely, we're going to see some big scores. We're going to see some head scratchers as well.
Well, Donna's a great guy, just very unassuming, right up the pike. Very, very simple and clean game, and great bowler.
Forkel finishes up 199 for 570. 736, 570 win for LeClaire. He'll go on, and I'm sure he'd like to bowl as few matches as possible, given his situation.
14-pin deficit now for Terrell.
So in the next match, Bruce, it will be LeClaire and Don Breeden. So how about that?
Two heavyweights.
Two big shooters, and almost trouble there for Terrell.
Terrell had ball in hand here. He could have gone up and closed out the match by going 247. Haugen maximum 236 plus 5 is 241. But now Terrell misses and still has the 14-pin deficit. So certainly advantage Haugen right now. Terrell must double here to force Haugen to show up in the 10th.
All right, max score for Terrell, 601. Haugen can get to 615. It almost crumbles the bucket, leaves just the 8.
Yeah, through the break again, though. He needed to get that a little slower. Really, I would say that 2-pin and Haugen's figuring out that left lane have to be the keys to this match. Haugen's soft touch on that left lane is what got him here. And by the way, that 210 didn't hurt either, making that. The experience of Michael Haugen Jr. And I also love his release. He's so far, he's right behind it. It's almost this turn the doorknob release. So we talk about getting the ball to read early and start up early, and he's a master at that. And a master of when it starts. You see him move back and forth for different balls because he's looking for different break points. And the tournament he won on Long Island, that was absolutely essential. It wasn't that hard to hit the pocket, but if you didn't have the right break point, you had no chance of carry there.
Terrell finishes 216 at 590.
Great showing. Great showing for Terrell.
So Haugen came in with a 5-pin advantage. So really just good count.
Yeah, he could afford an open here even. Yep, it's good count wins.
I'm sure he'd prefer just to get it done that way.
We'll take care of that.
Always the showman, picking up the 210 to stay in control and delivering the strike in the 10th to advance in the winner's bracket. David Tyrell will head to the elimination bracket later this afternoon. And Haugen will take on the winner of the Standish-Washburn match. So if we scroll through, they're still bowling. It is going to be Charlie Standish and Michael Haugen Jr. the next round of the winner's bracket. That is coming up in 1 hour. 1 hour from right now. They will not re-oil the lane, so they'll just come out firing.
Because everybody's on the same burn.
right, Haugen finishes with 236 for 615. 590 for Terrell. So Haugen will advance Terrell to the elimination bracket. In our other match, Leclerc 736 over Eric Forkel, 570. And everybody's still alive. We'll have our next round again coming up in 1 hour. That will be winners bracket matches. And then the winners of the winners will be done for the day. Get a chance to relax a little bit. They'll be back on the lanes tomorrow morning. And then we'll have additional rounds this afternoon of the elimination bracket. So looking forward to that. Some excitement here. Some big scores. And let's see if anybody else is worth talking about before we sign off here.
Walter Ray Williams Jr., a winner 750 over Andrew Frawley 611.
And we got the exciting Hall of Fame match on 49 and 50. Kent and Voss. Voss finishes with 750. And Doug Kent wrapping up here. He can get to 246 this game. A little harder to follow on the live scoring there. But by the time they're done, it'll be a few minutes from now. So that will encourage you to check out the bracket online. Bowl.com/Senior Masters. A lot of great information there. See who's bowling up in the next round. And we will be here all the way through as well.
I think Voss wrapped up that match, Matt. Kent just had 9 in the 10th, and he can't get to 750.
All right, there you have it.
Brian Voss, another first-round winner.
Some of these guys, they love the dramatics. Keeps it exciting. Brian the Showman as well. Look forward to seeing him in future rounds here on BowlTV, folks. But that is going to do it for now. We're going to get reset. Next match is coming up again in 1 hour. That's 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 here in Las Vegas. If you can make it, come on out. Join us in person. Say hello. My name is Matt Canizaro alongside Bruce Hall, fellow left-hander and competitor this week at the Senior Masters. Some good insight, both about the players out there on the PBA 50 Tour and from the lanes this week, what he saw. So we'll have more insight as we get comfortable for our next round of matches. We do appreciate everybody tuning in. Folks, that is going to do it for this winners bracket, the first round. This is the right side of the bracket, left side bowled earlier. Check it out, bowl.com/Senior Masters. We'll see you in a little bit. Folks, that's the news for now. We'll see you on the lanes.